debates in any organisation should be conducted publicly, and we should publicly invite all and any workers who are around us and reading our press to help us in this debate. Ask them to give their opinions. And now, of course, there could be a time like when security would be an issue, but that would be really a very exceptional circumstance. So we're in favour of that, definitely. We were too unconditional. Now, in the US, in this little tiny group we have, in our last conference, some of us stood down from election. I didn't go forward for election, to make sure there were more spaces there. We don't really know how to deal with it. The main thing is that we recognise that it's a major problem. Like if you take Dublin, and Dublin alone, I know personally hundreds and hundreds of good left activists who wouldn't join the Socialist Party, or who have been in it and have been driven out, who wouldn't join the SWP, but who know that you need to be organised. And I have written open letters, gone to conferences, stood outside the conferences of the Socialist Party with open letters to try and put this on the agenda and have debates about it. So, and I will continue to do it. The main thing is to recognise and articulate and fight for the idea that left sectarianism is a major damage to the working class movement, and to get that debated. Like we can discuss how reformism is a damage, or, you know, those are left-wing people will be prepared to discuss that. They'll discuss, you know, how religious sectarianism damages the workers' movement. But it's very hard to get left-wing people to discuss left sectarianism. And the reason, in my opinion, is that if you're in a left group, you don't want to discuss it, because it'll end up, people will say, well, you're a left sectarian, which most of them are. And if the people who've been through those groups and are individual left activists, it's hard to get them to take it up, because they see it as a huge problem. They don't have any belief they can solve the problem. It'll bring them into conflict with the existing left groups. They want to work with the existing left groups. And I believe that's a mistake. I think we have to put it on the agenda and fight for it to be recognised as a major problem. And then, I don't have all the answers of how to solve it, but if we can get it on the agenda, that will be a huge step forward, and then there'll be more people who will help come up with ideas of how to solve it. My understanding of the reason for the weakness of the Socialist Alliance in Britain was, it wasn't even so much, to me, the left sectarianism. To me, the problem of the Socialist Alliance was that it didn't recognise that it could only be built if it was taking up the day-to-day problems of working class people and carrying out direct action to solve those problems. I think there's two parts to it. There's how you work and build and fight at the moment, and I think you have to go to the problems the workers face, take them up, try and make a difference to workers' lives. I know in the United States, the feeling amongst workers is, yeah, there's so many problems in our lives, but there's nothing that we can do about it. And if we have a little intervention and show that there's something that can be done about it, that's the priority. Like, you know, in one area where we have a branch, 800 people were losing their housing subsidy. We went after the mayor, we went to the mayor's church, we went to the mayor's home, we took over the July 4th parade, all these kind of things, and we caused such a ruckus that Washington sent down, I forget how much, but millions of dollars, and re-established the subsidy. And people say, hey, there is something we can do about this. As soon as that campaigns and those struggles start, then all the left-wing groups will come in. Each one will be looking for recruitment out of that. And so then we as activists who recognise that problem of left sectarianism have got to put that problem on the table in front of all those workers whose houses has been saved. Like in Dublin, recently there was Joe Higgins, member of the Dáil, who went to prison on the campaign against the bin charges, refuse collection charges. That was a good thing that he did, a heroic thing he did. I respect him for that. But what did the Socialist Party do when he came out? They had a big meeting in the Gresham Hotel. I was in Dublin at the time and I went to it and objected to it, spoke from the floor. They had a meeting in the Gresham Hotel, and he was the only Socialist Party speakers were invited to speak. So instead of coming out, and he was a heroic figure coming out after doing that time, he should have called a meeting with himself, SWP, every other group that was active in that campaign, and made a speech to say, stop this left sectarianism. Let's work together. Let's have a campaign. And shown that the Socialist Party was prepared to take the lead in elections. Instead of having one joint slate of candidates, the Socialist Party, the SWP, all have different candidates. They should have had one slate of candidates on the bin charges. One in France, remember the presidential elections, 2 left candidates, or 3, I forget which, I think it was 2. And if they had got together and had one candidate, they might have beat Le Pen, it's possible, and had a runoff with Chirac. And I debated with both of those organisations, and one said, oh, it's the other fault, and one said the other fault. But one of those organisations could have said, okay, we want one left candidate, we don't care whether it's ours or yours. Let's debate. Let's the 2 organisations discuss which to go forward. And then you begin to defeat left sectarianism. So I think there's going to have to be a big movement for a successful anti-left sectarian movement to be built. But in the meantime, we got to fight for that and build forces for that.